For problem number 1, state 1 for dual combustion engine is P1 is equals to 1.5 atm or atmosphere, and temperature 1 is 64 degrees Celsius. Rk is equals to 118. At the end of constant volume combustion process, the pressure is 7,713 kPa. Rc is equals to 1.9 based on 1.2 kilogram mass per cycle of hot air standard with K is equals to 1.31. Determine the percentage clearance, the P, V, and T, and each corner point on the cycle. C is the work net, the efficiency, and last the mean effective pressure or the PM. So kung i-analyze natin yung problem number 2, bali sa problem, meron tayong pressure 1 na 1.5 atm. Then yung temperature 1 na 64 degree Celsius. Then binigyan yung RK natin na 18. Sabi niya, at the end of constant volume combustion process, the pressure is 7,713 kilopascal. So, meron tayong pressure 3. No? Pressure 3 ito. Kasi, sabi niya, end of constant volume combustion. So, kung sa PV diagram, dito yon, no? Ito yon. Constant, di ba? Constant. V1 ay V2 is equal to V3. Sabi niya, end of constant volume. Eh, di ba dito constant volume? So, nasa 0.3 tayo. Yun yung in-state sa problem. So, meron tayong P3 na 7,713 kilopascal. Then, yung RC natin ibinigay 1.9. Then, meron tayong mass na 1.2 kilogram. Then, meron tayong K na 1.31. So, tignan natin sa solution ko. So, yun na sa solution ko. Una yung given natin, no? Ulitin ko lang. Meron tayong pressure 1 na 1.5 atm. So, kailangan natin i-convert into kilopascal. So, 1.5 atm is equals to 151.987 kilopascal. Then, yung temperature 1 naman, hindi pa siya naka-absolute value. So, nag-add ako ng 273. Therefore, yung temperature 1 natin is equals to 337 Kelvin. Then, yung RK natin na 18. Yung pressure 3 na 7,713 kilopascal. Yung RC natin is 1.9. Then, yung mass is 1.2 kilogram. Then, yung K is 1.31. So, sa solution ko, balik ko munang hinanap yung clearance. So, sa clearance, meron tayong formula na C is equals to 1 all over RK minus 1. Then, i-multiply lang natin sa 100, no, para makuha natin yung percentage. So, i-substitute lang natin yung value ni RK. Therefore, C is equals to 1 all over 18 minus 1 multiplied by 100. So, yung C natin o yung clearance is equals to 0.058 or 5.88%. So, nakuha na natin yung clearance. So, kuhanin naman natin yung PVT each corner. So, kapag sinabing each corner, each point, parang yung each point, kukuhanin natin mula sa 0.1 hanggang 0.4. So, una, kuhanin muna natin yung volume 1. So, sa volume 1, ginamit kong formula is yung ideal gas equation, which is yung PV-MRT. So, P1, V1 is equals to MRT1. So, nag-divide ako both side ng P1 para makancel to. Then, makukuha natin yung final formula na V1 is equals to MRT1 all over P1. So, i-substitute lang natin yung value. Bali yung mass natin na given is 1.2 kg. Then yung R natin na 0.287 kJ all over kilogram Kelvin. Then yung temperature 1 natin na 337 Kelvin all over yung pressure 1 natin na 151.987 kilopascal. So, unit analysis, cancel yung Kelvin, cancel yung kilogram, cancel yung kilogram. Bali, yung kilojoule equal yan sa kilonewton meter. Then, yung kilopascal natin equal yan sa kilonewton all over meter squared. So, yung kilonewton makakancel. Therefore, yung matitira nating unit is cubic meter. So, therefore, yung volume 1 natin is equal to 0.764 cubic meter. So, nakuha na natin yung volume 1. Hanapin naman natin yung temperature 2. Sa temperature 2, at point 1 to 2, isentropic is constant. So, sa volume 2 ginamit kong, or rather sa temperature 2 ginamit kong formula is yung T2VV2 na formula. So, T2 all over T1 is equals to V1 all over V2 raised to K minus 1. So, we know naman na yung V1 all over V2 is equals to RK. So, yung initial formula natin is T2 all over T1 is equals to RK raised to K minus 1. So, nag-cross multiply lang ako para makuha natin yung final formula sa temperature 2. Then, temperature 1 is equals to temperature 2 is equals to temperature 1 RK raised to K minus 1. So, substitute lang natin yung value. Bali, temperature 1 is equals to 337 Kelvin. Then, we multiply by RK na 18. Then, raised to K na 1.31. Then, minus 1. So, yung temperature 2 natin is equals to 825.590. Then, next naman, solve natin yung pressure 2. Sa pressure 2, process 1 to 2, isentropic is constant. So, dito, ginamit kong formula is yung PVK formula. Bali, P1V1 raised to K is equals to P2V2 raised to K. So, nag-divide ako both side ng V2 raised to K para makuha natin yung final formula. So, cancel. Yung initial formula natin is P2 is equals to P1V1 raised to K all over V2 raised to K. Diba yung V1 all over V2 is equals to RK. Therefore, yung final formula natin for P2 is P2 is equals to P1 quantity RK raised to K minus 1. Then, substitute lang natin yung mga given or yung value. Bali, P1 natin is 151.987 kilopascal. Then, yung RK natin na 18. Then, raised to 1.31. Therefore, yung pressure 2 natin is equals to 6,702.139 kilopascal. Yan. Then, kuhanin naman natin next is yung volume 2. Sa volume 2, kinuha ko siya sa RK formula na RK is equals to V1 all over V2. Then, nag-cross multiply lang ako. Then, yung final formula natin is V2 is equals to V1 all over RK. Then, substitute. V2 is equals to yung V1 natin na 0.764 cubic meter. Yung RK na 18. Therefore, yung V2 natin is equals to 0.042 cubic meter. Then, nasa point 3 na tayo. Sa point 3, inuna kong kinuha is yung temperature 3. Sa process 2 to 3, which volume is constant. Ginamit kong formula is yung PVT formula o yung combined gas law. Then, di ba, sa process 2 to 3, volume is constant. So, yung volume is makakancel. Yung initial formula natin is P3 all over T3 is equals to P2 all over T2. Then, yung i-cross multiply lang natin, makukuha natin yung final formula na T3 is equals to T2 multiplied by P3 all over P2. Then, substitute. Yung temperature 2 natin is 825.590. Yung pressure 3 natin is 7,713 kilopascal. Yung pressure 2 natin is equals to 6,702.139 kilopascal. So, cancel yung kilopascal. matitirang unit natin is Kelvin. Therefore, yung temperature 3 natin is equals to 950.111 Kelvin. So, next is kuhanin natin yung volume 3. Sa volume 3 naman, di ba sinabi ko kanina, V3 is equals to V2. Based sa PV diagram natin, makikita natin, no? Ito, yung volume. Volume 2 is equals to volume 3. Kaya pareho lang yung value nila. Therefore, yung V3 natin is 0.042 cubic meter then. Then, next naman is yung volume 4. Sa volume 4 naman, meron tayong formula na RC is equals to V4 all over V3. Then, nag-cross multiply lang ako para makuha ko yung final formula sa volume 4. So, volume 4 is equals to RC quantity V3. So, i-substitute lang natin yung value. Yung RC, equal yan sa 1.9. Then, yung volume 3 natin is 0.042 cubic meter. Therefore, yung volume 4 natin is equals to 0.080 cubic meter. Then, sa temperature 4, ginamit kong formula is RC is equals to V4 all over V3. We know naman yung RC equal din yan sa T4 all over T3. Kasi yung process dito, masasabi natin na equal din siya sa T4 all over T3 kasi constant pressure yung dyan. Makikita natin dito sa magbe-base tayo sa PV diagram. Bali dito yon constant pressure. So, makakancel yung pressure kaya pwede nating makuha. So, kung cross multiply ko, makukuha ko yung final temperature na or yung T4 na T4 is equals to RC quantity temperature 3. So, T4 is equals to 1.9. Then, multiply natin sa 950 na T3.110 Kelvin. So, T4 is equals to 1,805.209 Kelvin.